Right now on Morning News Now, promises made. President-elect Trump working to carry out a centerpiece of his campaign and confirming his plan to use the U.S. military assets in a mass deportation of undocumented immigrants. Plus, Mr. Trump's pick for Attorney General facing the fallout over allegations of sexual misconduct and illicit drug use.
Whether or not a federal prosecutor takes a case and decides to move forward on a trial or move forward on an allegation is that particular prosecutor's decision. It doesn't mean they didn't do it.
Now, a House Ethics Committee planning to meet to discuss the investigation. We have team coverage. Developing this morning, a deadly rampage in the streets of New York City. At least 3 people are dead in what investigators are calling a string of random stabbings across Manhattan. What we're learning about the attacks and the suspect now under arrest. Plus, it's still November, but for some, it's beginning to look a lot like Christmas. That's right, parts of the country waking up to snow. Angie's here tracking your Tuesday forecast as 2 powerful storm systems move in. And in our latest edition of Women Mean Business, we are featuring a force in the fashion world who turned her passion into a multi-million-dollar company. I'll sit down with Rent the Runway co-founder Jennifer Hyman to talk about how she's silencing skeptics and empowering other women along the way. Really, she invented that whole sort of genre of renting clothes. Good morning, I'm Savannah Sellers. Thanks so much for being with us on a Tuesday. Joe's on assignment. We're going to begin this morning with the latest on the Trump transition as the president-elect's cabinet is taking shape amid ongoing questions over whether or not some of his picks can survive the confirmation process. Last night, Mr. Trump announced former Wisconsin congressman and Fox Business host Sean Duffy as his nominee for transportation secretary. But with several of his more controversial picks facing intense scrutiny from lawmakers, more members of Trump's inner circle suggest they are open to skirting the usual Senate process in order to get them confirmed. Here's what incoming White House Deputy Chief of Staff James Blair told Fox News about it yesterday.
The president's made very clear that he intends to see his intended nominees confirmed, and we're hopeful that our partners in the Senate will work closely with us to ensure that happens. You know, we'll look at all the options, I'm sure. Different people have different opinions, but at the end of the day, what's important is that we are able to get the intended nominees through.
Well, pressure is building on the House Ethics Committee to release the details of their investigation into Trump's Attorney General pick. That's Matt Gaetz. The committee is scheduled to meet again tomorrow. Well, some lawmakers are saying that information will come out one way or another. NBC News correspondent Dasha Burns joins us to walk through the latest on Trump's cabinet picks. Dasha, good morning. So today, President-elect Trump, he's going to meet with Elon Musk in Texas for the SpaceX launch. That's later today. We'll talk a little bit about his schedule. But first, we do have a new cabinet nominee to talk about. Who is Trump's transportation secretary pick, Sean Duffy, and any other roles that we could hear about next?
So Sean Duffy, as you mentioned, a congressman, former congressman from Wisconsin. He served in the House from 2011 to 2019. Fox Business host, also married to a Fox host. It's something that, of course, President-elect Trump did not neglect to mention in his congratulations to Duffy. This is now the second person from Fox that is going to be serving in his cabinet. And he was also a reality TV star. He was on The Real World in the late 90s, as was his wife. Now, as for the other big roles that we're watching for, Savannah, we are looking out for Treasury Secretary. That is a major pick. There's been a lot of jockeying down at Mar-a-Lago for that role. Right now, the top 2 contenders have been the co-chair of the transition, Howard Lutnick, and a Wall Street guy named Scott Bessent, who has a more sort of traditional resume. But the knife fighting between the two gotten kind of intense. A couple new names have been thrown into that list, so we're waiting to see what President-elect Trump will do there. Also waiting for the FBI and waiting for Department of Education, 2 other critical roles, Savannah.
Dasha, let's also talk about one of these big priorities for the president. We have his so-called border czar, Tom Homan, laying the groundwork for one of Trump's day 1 priorities. That is, of course, cracking down on illegal immigration, something we heard about throughout his campaign. Here's what Mr. Homan told Fox News yesterday.
Already working on the plan. I'll be going down to Mar-a-Lago this week to put the final touches on the plan. But yeah, we're going to take the handcuffs off ICE. ICE knows who they're looking for. They just haven't been able to go arrest them because Secretary Mayorkas has told them, you know, to tone down the arrest.
What exactly do we think that means, taking the handcuffs off of ICE? What's that look like?
Well, it's a great question. There are a lot of big question marks, actually, around how President-elect Trump plans to actually implement the mass deportation plan that he has been talking about on the campaign trail. Look, he said yesterday on social media, he confirmed that he plans to issue a national emergency and use the military as part of this operation. But how that actually works, in 2018, he tried to deploy troops. He did deploy troops to the southern border, but the Pentagon was very clear that U.S. troops would not be able to apprehend migrants. They can provide some resources, but they can't actually apprehend migrants. So will he try to sort of push the boundaries of that this time around, given the new leadership that he's bringing in? And taking the handcuffs off ICE, of course, that sounds like it means that they're going to be more aggressive. But even in that interview, Homan said there are still a lot of ifs. What will Congress approve? What kind of resources are we looking at? So big question marks for what pretends to be a really massive undertaking. Savannah.
Dasha, there's also an important deadline today in Trump's hush money case here in New York. We've been waiting to see what's going to happen now that Trump's lawyers are trying to get the case and the conviction thrown out before inauguration. What are we waiting for today?
We're waiting for the district attorney's office to basically tell Judge Merchan how they want to proceed here. That could also potentially get delayed again today, Savannah. We've seen delay after delay in this. It's also the deadline for Judge Merchan to decide what he wants to do, given the immunity ruling from the Supreme Court. But again, we could very likely see delays here, and the big looming question of how does this all move forward, given the Supreme Court ruling and given President-elect Trump's looming time in office.
Dasha Burns, thank you. Well, let's turn now to the debating fight over President-elect Trump's pick for Attorney General, former GOP Congressman Matt Gaetz. On Monday, the top Democrat on the House Ethics Committee said that the panel's report into Gaetz should be made public. So that report, it details their investigation into allegations that Gaetz was involved in illicit drug use and sexual misconduct. And whether it should be released is now the focal point in the coming battle over his confirmation for the job. House Speaker Mike Johnson has requested that the Ethics Committee withhold the report. Well, Gaetz has denied any wrongdoing. That wrongdoing that he's accused of includes eyewitness testimony that he was seen having sex with a then 17-year-old at a Florida party in 2017, just 6 months into his term as a congressman. An attorney for the alleged witness and another woman who testified to the committee spoke with NBC's Hallie Jackson and had this to say about his clients.
They don't have an agenda. My clients are not politically motivated. They haven't voted in the last 2 elections. They don't have a dog in the fight.
The attorney said his client does not think Gaetz knew she was a minor at the time he had sex with her. NBC News Capitol Hill correspondent Ali Vitale joins us with more on this. Ali, good morning. So first, let's talk about that report. You very smartly pointed out yesterday the fact that it's not actually normal for something like this to be released, but obviously it could have a major impact here. NBC News has learned that the House Ethics Committee plans to meet tomorrow, according to a source familiar, to discuss this. What do we know about this meeting and where this decision stands?
Well, we were talking about this yesterday, right? The idea that once you stop being a member of Congress, and in Gaetz's case, he is no longer a member, the Ethics Committee loses its jurisdiction. So typically, yes, you would not end up seeing any of these kinds of ethics reports. There are a few rare instances where the Ethics Committee has decided to still go ahead and release their findings in the instances where members have left the body, but there is something relevant in the ethics probe. Certainly, that situation fits here, and it's why we're so interested in what can happen when the Ethics Committee actually huddles tomorrow afternoon. What is interesting, too, about this is the way that we're starting to see prominent people on both sides of the equation weigh in. And when I say both sides, I mean that in a few different ways. On the Senate side, they are saying they'd very much like to see that ethics report. But on the House side, the Speaker is saying he doesn't want to see this probe released. He said, and I think we talked about this yesterday, it would open a sort of Pandora's box. Again, going back to what's typical and what the usual operating procedure is here for the Ethics Committee when a member leaves the House body. But we're also now starting to hear from some members of the Ethics Committee itself. And again, that's a rare thing because this is typically a committee that is shrouded in mystery, typically very silent about what it is they're even investigating, let alone how they're proceeding with the findings of those investigations. We've heard from from the head of the ethics committee, who said they've spoken with the speaker, that the speaker's view on this is not going to have an impact in ultimately what the ethics committee votes to decide to do. But we also heard from a prominent Democrat on that committee, Susan Wild, an outgoing member, who said that she's read the report on Gaetz and that she thinks it should be released. So now you've got members of that committee, again, they are very typically mum on this stuff, saying, yeah, I think this should probably be out there.
Allie, let's listen to a little bit more sound from Hallie Jackson's interview. Again, this is the attorney for Gaetz's accusers. I'll ask a question on the other side.
Did your clients make any assessments in their testimony about Mr. Gaetz's fitness or judgment to serve in office?
They're very careful about what they might express publicly, but one did say, I do not think a man like him should have that much power.
Allie, one of the things that's always striking is when we see, even within an own party, people start to have concern. And I know even with Republicans, there's concern that there's not this path to get confirmed. Of course, should we go through the normal confirmation process? But what are you hearing in your reporting from both sides of the aisle about what's swirling around about this report?
The lawyer for these women who testified to the ethics committee is starting to make the rounds, trying to make a bigger footprint for this allegation, just in case it seems like the ethics committee won't release it. Of course, if the committee releases it, then this is just another part and piece of the story. But there's some really fascinating dynamics here around Gaetz specifically, and then around what this one nomination can actually tell us about how the House and the Senate are going to act around the president and in this next term for Trump. The first piece of it, though, is the fact that I'm wondering, and I hear this from Republican lawmakers, especially on the House side, many of them have come to me and said they, A, don't think that Gaetz should be confirmed. Again, these are his own colleagues. B, many of them dislike him from the fact that he ousted a speaker in Kevin McCarthy, who many of the rank and file Republicans liked and wanted to keep in power. There's no love lost around a character like Gaetz. They're happy he's no longer a direct colleague of theirs in the House, but they think that the Senate is going to do something to not confirm him. And you make the point if they go through the regular nominating process. My question is, at multiple inflection points, we have seen Republicans in the Senate be given an opportunity to buck the president, or in this case, the president-elect, and they've never done it, be it for politics or personal reasons. And I'm wondering what House members are seeing now that makes them think that this Senate that's emboldened with a Republican majority after a Trump win is suddenly going to make this the thing that they buck him on. I'm not sure I'm seeing it. That being said, we know Republican senators are reluctant or against voting for Gaetz. Still a lot of time left on this clock to push it in either direction, either making it harder or easier.
Allie, thank you. Well, the G20 meeting continues in Rio de Janeiro this morning, with President Biden expected to hold talks with Brazil's president before heading back to Washington. On day one of the summit, leaders of the world's richest nations issued a joint statement calling for ceasefires in Gaza, Lebanon, and Ukraine, while urging more cooperation on climate change and poverty reduction. NBC's George Solis has the latest.
Leaders from some of the world's biggest economies converging in Brazil as the two-day G20 summit kicks off.
We've made progress together, but I urge you to keep going.
President Biden bidding farewell to his global counterparts in his final summit appearance. But it was his lack of appearance at this photo that grabbed headlines. A group photo of the world leaders taken before Biden and the leaders of Canada and Italy had arrived at the location. The White House says it was due to logistical issues. But it was the incoming American president, who was not in attendance at all, who dominated the conversation as world leaders prepare for the return of President-elect Donald Trump and his new appointees. On Saturday, Brazil's First Lady, Janja Lula da Silva, startled by a horn at a G20 event, joking that it came from billionaire Elon Musk, who was recently appointed by Trump to head up a new Department of Government Efficiency, then saying this.
Eu não tenho medo de você, inclusive. You, Elon Musk.
Musk reacting on X with a crying, laughing emoji, writing, they will lose the next election. Brazil lifted a month-long ban on Musk's X in October after the company complied with court orders and paid nearly $5 million in fines. As Brazil's president, Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva opened the summit, launching a global alliance to combat poverty and hunger. He had this tense moment with Argentinian President Javier Milei, an avid Trump supporter. The Associated Press reporting that one Brazilian official and one from another G20 nation say Argentina is standing in the way of a joint summit declaration opposing a clause calling for a global tax on the super-rich and another promoting gender equality. Milei was the first foreign leader to meet with Trump since he won the election, attending a gala at Mar-a-Lago last Thursday. Just the latest preview of Trump's possible influence in Latin America and in the world, even before he takes office. George Solis, NBC News.
Well, here in New York, the city was on edge Monday after a man went on a stabbing spree through the streets of Manhattan, killing 3 people. With the suspect, who has an extensive criminal record, now in custody, police say the rampage appears to be an unprovoked attack. Here's reporter Checky Beckford from NBC New York with the details.
A third victim added to the list of people killed in random, broad daylight stabbings across Manhattan.
No words exchanged, just attacked and stabbed viciously.
Police say 51-year-old Ramon Rivera had not one, but 2 knives. Just before 8:30 Monday, this chilling surveillance video from West 19th Street shows Rivera calmly changing his clothes, unzipping a purple backpack, and pulling out one of those large knives. Moments later, investigators say he turned those knives on his first victim.
He's standing in front of a construction site where he is employed, when without warning, he is stabbed in the abdomen.
36-year-old construction worker Angel Lata Landy, now identified as the first person killed. About 2 hours later, police say a 67-year-old man fishing on East 30th Street became the second victim. Roughly 30 minutes later, a 36-year-old woman was fatally stabbed on East 42nd Street near the UN. A rideshare driver who witnessed the random, brutal attack attempted to chase Rivera in his SUV.
By the time he got up to us, he started yelling, "Stop that guy, stop that guy." And then he was pointing across the street. Then we saw a gentleman in a gray hoodie, looked like a little bit dirty, looked homeless. He had big gloves on.
Baha Batem says he pleaded with Rivera to stop.
I told him, drop the bag.
The actions of civilians also catching the attention of a nearby officer.
I just heard a commotion from where I was, stepped outside, heard what people were saying, and reacted.
Police would arrest Rivera without incident, some 4 blocks from where he's accused of taking the life of an innocent woman. The killing spree rattling usually hardy New Yorkers.
Well, I'm very nervous walking the streets of New York anyway, so to hear this is really upsetting.
Our thanks to Checky Beckford for that report. Well, officials say Rivera has had 8 arrests in New York City in the past year, including 7 felonies and 1 misdemeanor. They added that Rivera also has a documented history of mental health concerns. Let's switch to weather now. We are tracking rain moving east throughout the week and hopefully headed our way because we need it with this drought. But it's starting today in the central Gulf Coast. Let's get a check on your weather with Angie Lassman. Hey there. Good morning.
Hi. Good morning, Savannah. You're exactly right. We do need it. We need some drought relief for a good chunk of the country, and we're going to get it in some spots. But first, we've got to deal with the potential for some flooding. This system extends from the Great Lakes, parts of the Midwest, down through the Ohio Valley and down south towards the Gulf Coast. That's where we have the flood alerts this morning. But notice how this progresses over the next day or so. We're going to see most of this moisture work into parts of the southeast. That's where the heaviest of the rain will be, the more tropical rains for places like the Gulf Coast and Florida. And then up into parts of the mid-Atlantic, we'll see some of those showers working in. We're not done with the system as we get into tomorrow. Instead, we're going to focus most of the activity, at least the rain and snowfall, across the Great Lakes and again, extending into the mid-Atlantic. Notice the wintry mix that we'll have to deal with. This will leave us with a little bit of travel trouble. Of course, some slick conditions on those roadways, but again, some much needed rain across this region. And then the Northeast starts to see some of that wintry mix happening. We'll get the beneficial rain for those really dry areas that have been battling the fires for a little over a week now. We'll see this kind of low pressure system develop right offshore. This is going to leave us with kind of an unsettled Thursday as we finish out the second half of our week. But the rain, nonetheless, will be working through that region. I know a lot of folks are going to be happy about that. Meanwhile, out west, we've got another storm system that we're watching. The winter alerts are already up, extending from central California up into portions of Washington. We'll see heavy rain, snow, and the potential for some really strong winds. So let's talk about this specific front that works in. This is going to leave us with the potential for heavy rain and snow across that region. Seattle stretching to Portland and down through northern California. One thing to note, the wind gusts, they'll be quite strong, up to 70 miles per hour in some spots. So that means down trees, down power lines, of course, difficulty with travel. This atmospheric river event continues as we get into tomorrow, specifically Northern California. That's where you're going to see the most intense rainfall, and we'll see the potential for multiple feet of snow by the time this is all said and done. Notice that's Thursday. We're still going to see the rain soaking parts of California, and that risk for flash flooding and mudslides will be there, especially, again, along those areas that will have received the potential of up to a foot of rain by the time we get through this event. We'll also see the chance for multiple feet of snow in this area, and again, those wind gusts will be quite impressive, Savannah.
All right, gosh, a lot going on. It's winter. I hope we get snow here.
Well, we'll see.
We'll talk about that later. Thanks, Angie. Much more to come here on Morning News Now. Later this hour, the plus side of plugging in. We've talked a lot about the negatives, but new research shows a positive impact of the internet in a specific group of people. We'll tell you who benefits the most and why. Up first, though, after the break, protests and pushback. We'll take you to Ohio. Look at your screen, where an apparent neo-Nazi march is dividing a community. We will be right back. Welcome back. Over the weekend, an apparent neo-Nazi march shocked people in Columbus, Ohio, sparking an altercation between marchers and onlookers and drawing national attention. Well, now community members are speaking out and coming together. Kyle Beachy from our Columbus affiliate has more.
These reports from Columbus police show there was a physical altercation when those masked men were confronted right here on High Street. These reports also show they began using pepper spray, which I confirmed with several witnesses. This is video taken by a witness. The group was engaged in verbal shouting, then sprayed what appears to be mace toward people on the street.
They were screaming slurs and threats, and they just walked on by and continued on down the street screaming their obscenities. Keon
Tullius was out for lunch Saturday. He said he didn't believe what he was seeing until the march got closer. Then he took this video. We're showing you this video only once to give a clear picture of what happened.
They were allowed to perpetuate racial hate. It sends a very threatening message, quite frankly. I feel like most people are feeling very unsafe right now.
You know, I think what we're seeing is people who are a lot more blatant with their racism, their hatred, and it's just sad.
Local attorney Sean Walton helped organize a different march on Sunday, one that followed the same route but spread a much different message.
It's really important to show that we don't have to be afraid, that we are stronger together and that we are a united front here in Columbus for all people.
A message of unity in the face of hate.
We wanted to make a statement today that we're here, we're watching, and that we are willing to stand up for ourselves, but also that we believe that our leaders will stand up for us and will enact legislation that prevents this.
Columbus police were called to the area Saturday. The Short North Civic Association posted on Facebook with information about safety resources that are present in the Short North, not just during incidents, but on a regular basis.
It doesn't have any place in our state. It doesn't have any place in our city. It is so hateful. It is so evil. It shouldn't be here.
Well, people in Syracuse, New York, are calling on officials to declare a state of emergency over its drinking water after recent samples revealed concerning levels of lead. NBC News correspondent Aaron McLaughlin met with residents there who say they are demanding answers.
When Oceana Fair's Syracuse home was built back in 1925, lead was in the paint and piping.
This is our water meter.
In 2017, Oceana's eldest granddaughter tested positive for lead poisoning, which she says the county traced to the paint in her home and sealed in the existing lead, seemingly solving the problem.
This is her home. She should be safe here.
But then 2 years later, her second granddaughter, Ella, was born.
Her lead test results came back at 3.5. Being a lead advocate, we knew that we should be concerned.
Oceana says it wasn't until this year that she discovered tap water enters her home through a century-old lead service line. And while it's not confirmed if or to what extent that may have been a factor in Ella's lead level, she's now filtering all drinking water.
So when you realized you had a lead service line, what went through your head? That I had let my grandbaby down. We thought that this house was safe for our grandchildren.
There are 14,000 homes with old lead pipes in Syracuse, according to the city. Piping also seen across the country, from Flint, Michigan to Newark, New Jersey. President Biden has called for all lead piping in the U.S. to be replaced. Each year, the city of Syracuse tests the water from a random sample of those homes for lead. This year, 27 out of 104 properties tested above EPA accepted levels, some way above EPA accepted levels, according to city records obtained by the Natural Resources Defense Council, or NRDC, and reviewed by NBC News. The city now claims tests were improperly administered and said they suspended 2 water department employees pending an investigation, claiming recent resampling shows numbers below the EPA action level. The city has yet to release those full results.
Syracuse has a significant lead problem.
Eric Olson from the NRDC is sounding the alarm.
For several years, Syracuse has been skating right at the EPA level for lead. We don't believe that the level could have possibly dropped from 70 down to less than 10 in the span of a couple of months. It's just not really possible.
The water in the city of Syracuse is safe.
Greg Lowe is the city's chief policy officer. He says initial samples were taken from outside hoses, inflating lead levels.
It can make a very significant difference in the levels of materials that can be found in a water sample, because that water can be stagnant, sitting there for a long period of time before it's ever used.
The NRDC is calling for Syracuse to declare a state of emergency and to hand out water filters to all homes with lead service lines. Syracuse, the city, is saying that initial testing was faulty. What is your response to that?
Well, we say show us the data. We've seen this in city after city. We saw it in Flint. We saw it in other places where the city was reluctant to disclose their data, was testing in a way that was not accurate.
Lowe says he's listening to citizens' concerns.
Let's see it happen.
He says the data from the second round of testing will be released in 7 weeks after the results have been validated by regulatory partners. In the meantime, the city says it's making water filters available to homes with children under 6 and pregnant women. Why not give the filters to everyone?
Because that isn't what the data shows is necessary.
NBC News knocked on doors of homes that initially tested for high levels of lead.
Okay, so you're drinking this water from the tap?
Yes.
And you have been for 2 years?
Yeah.
Including the residence of college student Hayden Bragg.
This is one of the houses that was found to have inordinately high lead level.
Was it?
Do you not know that?
No, I don't know. I have no idea.
What's happening right now?
We're there when Bregg's roommate tells him they received a letter over the summer alerting them to the high lead level.
It said it was high?
Yeah, it was like 57 parts.
But they haven't been told if that was the result of faulty testing, and they're waiting on a second sample.
And like when I was in high school, the whole Flint, Michigan thing, I never really thought it was going to be about me.
Is it feeling like it's about you now?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, yeah, it is about me. It's about this whole community.
Our thanks to Aaron McLaughlin for that report. Well, the New York State Department of Health says they've given over $22 million to Syracuse to help in replacing the lead service lines. Coming up, one small step for commercial space exploration. SpaceX getting ready to launch its 6th Starship test flight. More on the mission that could help put man back on the moon, maybe even one day Mars. And has Find My Friends gone too far? Why location sharing is raising questions about boundaries. Your weekly check-in is next on Morning News Now. Welcome back. SpaceX is gearing up to take another leap in the space race today as it prepares to launch its 6th Starship test flight. The nearly 400-foot-tall mega rocket is expected to reopen the door to moon exploration and beyond. The mission comes a month after the Starship made history with its previous test flight by completing the first ever catch of an orbital rocket using essentially what looks like massive chopsticks. You probably remember seeing that video. It was amazing. Well, joining us now for more on this, one of our favorites, Mike Massimino. He's a former NASA astronaut and a professor at the Columbia University Engineering School. And that's not all on his resume. He's also the author of Moonshot, a NASA astronaut's guide to achieving the impossible. Good morning.
Good morning.
Always love when you're here. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me. It's great to see you.
So this is kind of exciting, right? I mean, tell us what exactly they're looking to accomplish with this test flight.
Well, it was only a month ago that they did that recovery with the chopsticks, as you mentioned. So they're going to repeat that again for the big launch vehicle, see if they can pull that off again with, about a month later. And the differences are going to be mainly in the Starship, the payload at the top, the thing that would be carrying people and payloads up to space. They're going to relight the Raptor engines in space, which they haven't done before. And it's going to be more about the entry of that Starship when it lands in the Indian Ocean, doing some maneuvers, testing those out, and also testing out the heat shield, the thermal protection system. So a lot more about the landing as far as the technical parts, but I think the spectacular part will see it again, the recovery of the big booster being grabbed at the launch pad. Hopefully that'll work again.
Okay, Mike, one of the reasons I love you is because I feel like I can ask you a not so smart question
Fire, no,
about
they're
space
all
stuff,
good.
and
Go right
you can explain it.
I
I just have to say, it was amazing to watch it return.
Yeah.
But I think I'm also kind of like, and I heard a couple of people say this also, like, well, if that's the way it's supposed to work, why is it so surprising that it worked? It's like a massive, expensive rocket. Are we just like gonna maybe not get it right? Like, explain why it's so amazing that it was able to do this catching of it, if that's the way the system is supposed to work.
Well, we've never seen anything like that before. If you remember, you know, when we were sending people to the moon back in Apollo, all this stuff just got dumped in the ocean. Even the Space Launch System, which they did one test flight with that, with the Orion spacecraft to the moon. They're going to put people on board. Most of that ends up back in the ocean, too. It doesn't come back to the launch pad. So this idea of reusability that has been there for decades of what we wanted to do, to return the vehicle, the big launch vehicle, back to the launch pad so you could reuse it again, that's been something that the space program has wanted to do. But it's really hard. And this is a gigantic, colossal thing.
Yeah, and explain like how it works, that they have to guide it back in, like you're like putting something in a parking spot.
Right, exactly. You're coming back very, very precisely. So a huge object. So you still need propulsion. It's got to be guided. It has to be able to survive the reentry, and it's got to reach a very specific target. If it's even off by, you know, a couple inches, it could take out the whole launch pad. It could be a real problem, right? So to be able to do that precisely, that huge of an object, so that you can use it again, is quite remarkable. The AI, the computing that's needed to make that happen, is really astounding that they were able to figure out and pull it off.
And okay, so super heavy, right? That's the booster?
Yes, so there's basically two parts of the Starship. The super heavy is the launch vehicle, the big rocket. Yeah. And then on top of it is the payload, which is the Starship. Sometimes they call that the ship. So you can look at that as two pieces, two major pieces.
And tell us about this sonic boom during Super Heavy's landing.
Yeah, isn't that cool?
Oh my gosh, I wish y'all just saw Mike's face.
Have you ever been to a launch? Have you ever seen
No, I know, I wish.
With the space shuttle, you know, what I would tell people is you feel it. You see it, you know, you see it in a distance with light, and then the shock wave comes. It's the sound comes. You hear it a few seconds later, and you feel it, because sound is a wave. And you feel it when it comes at you.
Right, if it's loud enough, right.
If it's loud, and depending on it gets affected by the wind and the weather and so on. But in this case, what's happening with this gigantic rocket creates a lot of noise, and there's a sound. It breaks the sound barrier going up, and it also breaks the sound barrier when it comes down. It was actually louder on the way down, and that shock wave can cause damage. It can, you know, set off car alarms. It might, you know, shake a house a little bit. So I don't think they've had anything major happen yet, but this is another thing they'll be looking at, is what happens this time. They're going to be taking measurements and see what it's like in the surrounding area, if there's any damage because of the sound.
Well, this was fun. I love when you're here.
Oh, thanks for having me.
This is so great. We're
Always
about to have to talk about the drought back down here on Earth, so.
Yeah, this is a little more, it's a break in the action for the usual story, so.
Friend of the show, Mike Massimino, thank you. We always appreciate it. Great to see you. Well, 49 states across the country are experiencing some form of drought. This morning, doctors are warning that these drought conditions can adversely affect our everyday health. Jennifer Cuevas from our NBC affiliate in Hartford, Connecticut, has more on what you can do to keep safe.
Working out on a dry, sunny day, the outdoor conditions may look ideal, but professional boxer Tremaine Williams says once you're outside, you can't help but notice how dry it actually is.
Your throat get dry a little bit, your mouth get dry. You wouldn't even notice it wasn't raining unless you was out here.
He says it's much easier to breathe when there's moisture in the air.
When it's raining, it's a little bit more humidity, so it's easier to train, easier to breathe. Right now, I'm kind of congested.
Congestion and postnasal drip are some of the symptoms that people may feel as a result of the ongoing drought.
The dry air makes it much more likely that germs and allergens will be in the environment.
Dr. Andrew Wong with Hartford Health says the drought can actually lead to severe illnesses.
I've seen perfectly healthy patients in the office come in with bad sinus infections, walking pneumonia, even a few cases of E. coli sepsis.
He explains illnesses like salmonella and E. coli can happen due to the drought concentrating viruses and bacteria in reservoirs and water wells. Without knowing when the drought will end, Dr. Wong recommends people to stay as healthy as possible.
Get enough rest, stay healthy, eat healthy. Keeping a strong immune system is the best way to fight off any infections that might come up from the drought.
He also advises people who collect rainwater to use mosquito dunks to prevent mosquito-borne diseases and to cook their vegetables thoroughly, especially those who are immunocompromised.
All right, thanks to Jennifer Cuevas for that report. Well, now let's get to your weekly mental health check-in. We're going to start off with a look at how getting online could reduce offline struggles with depression for people who are over the age of 50. Also, you know, sharing your location, like Find My Friends, is it becoming more creepy than comforting? I love Find My Friends. We'll get into that in a minute. Joining us now for all that and a little more is psychotherapist Dr. Robbie Ludwig. Dr. Robbie, always great to see you. So let's jump in with this global study. This is out of the University of Hong Kong. And we hear so much negativity, right, about being online or being online too much or you know, how much better off we might all be without social media. But researchers actually found that older people who do use the internet are generally more positive and they have fewer symptoms of depression, which is great news. Tell us what we learned here.
Yeah, so this study looked at multiple countries for 50-year-old people and up. And what they discovered is people who were proactive about their life in terms of reaching out to friends, creating vacation plans, searching for communities, it really helped them to feel connected and excited about their lives. And perhaps this is because these are people who are just really interested in connecting and there's no barrier, there's no distance barrier when it comes to connecting via the internet. It was a very positive study, and unlike things we've heard about the younger generation using social media.
Is some good news there, and we love when we can pull out a little bit of good news on something. This next survey, it's about attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, of course, ADHD. That impacts millions of Americans, and researchers found that during busy periods, the symptoms are milder. What can people with ADHD take away from that?
So this was a really interesting study that looked at a group of people over many years. And what they discovered is when they were busier in a structured environment where they needed to stay on task, they tended to have milder symptoms of ADHD. And perhaps this is because the structure helped them to pay attention better. And also when you're more interested in a subject, just like all of us, it's easier to pay attention and to focus. For example, when people were doing chores, they didn't find that kind of busy so interesting. And the other piece was exercise and sport. So the more somebody is involved in exercising in something that they're interested in a structured way, it's positive in terms of reducing symptoms of ADHD.
All right, some good news there. Okay, finally, this one is such a talker. I've actually done a story on this before, which I pitched because I love location sharing apps. I've got a bunch of friends on Find My Friends. I feel like it's like my little Sims. I'm just making sure all my friends make it home. This is where people keep track of friends and family. You essentially have their location just in an app on your phone. But some people feel like maybe the practice has gone too far. There was just a Washington Post article saying it's making us miserable. How can we set boundaries even when it's hard? And what's your take on this? I mean, obviously, there's a line where I think it can like anything, it can get unhealthy. But what do you make of this?
Yeah. Well, Savannah, for someone like you who really enjoys it, that's great. But just because we can do something doesn't mean that we should do it. And for many people, they feel like they're on an electronic leash where they're intruded upon and they don't have the level of autonomy that they like to have. And the studies show that these kinds of apps, especially in intimate relationships, don't necessarily help with communication, where you can say to your partner or friends, hey, this is where I'm going to be at. If you need to get in touch with me, I'll text you, I'll show you a picture, because there are different ways to stay in touch. But I think it's really important for people to know that they can say no. They can even quote a study and say it's not as healthy as it seems, or do it on a specific basis. When you're going on a trip and you want somebody to know where you are, you can turn it on for those reasons.
Yeah, and just let's not get into a fight if you tell somebody, you know what, I don't want to follow you anymore. Dr. Robbie, great to see you as always. Thank you. Coming up, she made high-end fashion accessible and silenced skeptics with her multi-million-dollar company. Up next in our latest installment of Women Mean Business, I'll sit down with Jennifer Hyman, the co-founder of Rent the Runway. I'm sure you've heard of it. We'll get her secret to success and the challenges she's faced along the way. This is Morning News Now. Welcome back. Let's take a look at what's making financial headlines this morning. We're going to start with the latest on that major antitrust trial against Google. CNBC's Silvana Henao has that and more for us. Hey, Silvana, good morning.
Hey, Savannah, good morning. Yeah, so the Justice Department reportedly plans to ask the judge in Google's antitrust trial to force the company to sell its Chrome browser after the judge ruled Google has a monopoly in search. Now, Chrome is the world's most widely used browser, and the government has argued its use in cross-promoting Google's products hurts competition. Bloomberg reports the Justice Department is set to propose Google also separate Android from Search and Google Play. The company is expected to appeal any decision. Private equity giant Blackstone is near a deal to buy Jersey Mike's in a deal that would value the sandwich chain at about $8 billion. Now, the Wall Street Journal reports Blackstone had been in talks earlier this year. It's the nation's second largest sub-style sandwich company by sales, right behind Subway with more than 3,000 locations. Blackstone has a history of investing in franchise businesses. And Cyber Monday is projected to be the most popular shopping day during the Thanksgiving holiday weekend. A new Bankrate survey finds nearly 60% of adults say they're likely to buy something on Cyber Monday versus about 50% on Black Friday and Small Business Saturday. Additionally, about 48% say they bought something at pre-holiday sales during October, Savannah, and I've been one of those.
All right, Savannah.
Pre-Friday sales.
Yeah, there you go. Thank you so much.
You got it.
Well, now it's time for our series, Women Mean Business. And today's guest is someone who has shattered glass ceilings for female business leaders while revolutionizing the fashion industry. Her name is Jennifer Hyman, and she's the CEO and co-founder of Rent the Runway. She's here live, and we'll join her in just a moment. But first, here's some of her story.
3 years ago, Rent the Runway became the first company to go public on the NASDAQ with an all-female executive suite. And leading the charge was CEO and co-founder Jennifer Hyman. As a born and raised New Yorker, hustle and a love for fashion are in Hyman's DNA. After graduating from Harvard in 2002, she got her start with Starwood Hotels, where she created the first ever honeymoon registry. Hyman and co-founder Jenny Fleiss launched Rent the Runway in 2009 with the company's first designer partner, Diane von Furstenberg. The company is credited with pioneering the idea of rental fashion for a wide audience. Now this month, Rent the Runway is celebrating its 15th anniversary with over 3 million customers since launch and more than $150 million in revenue this year. Along the way, Hyman has picked up dozens of awards, including Time's 100 most influential people in the world and Fortune's 40 under 40. She says it's always been her personal mission to empower women to feel their best. Jennifer Hyman is a woman who means business.
And I am so excited to have Jennifer here in studio with me. Good morning.
Good morning.
Congratulations first on 15 years. Does it feel like it's been that long, or does it feel longer?
It doesn't feel like it's been that long. It's been so fun along the way and such an adventure to build the business. So I think that, you know, what's amazing is how much the world has really changed over the past 15 years, because the world was certainly not welcoming to this concept when we first launched it. And now it's so normal that you're going to kind of get dressed via secondhand clothing, and you can rent and you can buy secondhand. And I'm really proud that we've been a part of that.
Absolutely. I'm just so fascinated by anybody who can kind of make something that didn't exist before. That not only, you know, any company is, of course, that when you start it, but to really pioneer an industry. And the fact that you jumped in on one that does not seem easy. I mean, the logistics of buying as many clothes as you have.
I didn't know how hard it was going to be.
And like, I've actually heard before
from being naive at the beginning of a company.
But like a fact that I know about Rent the Runway that just absolutely blew me away is, didn't you guys essentially become like the largest dry cleaner also, because you have all those clothes that you have to then clean, and just all of those logistics. Tell us a little bit about the feeling and the stress or the excitement of launching something that was logistically challenging that had not been done before.
So I think that the thing that drove me at the very beginning is the very thing that continues to drive me, which is this mission of empowering women to feel amazing every single day. Fashion is armor for women. You go into work, you go to a special event, and what you put on is effectively how you feel about yourself. And what we wanted from the very beginning was to democratize that feeling and to make it more accessible and smarter for women to have what they want, which is variety in their wardrobes. So it's really the mission that has kind of enabled me to kind of survive through all of the incredibly difficult times, like building out first of its kind just-in-time reverse logistics, where we get back millions of units from our customers. We have to restore them. We have to send them back out, often that same day, to the next customer. And so those were all things I had no idea how to do before Rent the Runway, but you kind of just learn along the way. And I think that really the lesson to me on leadership is just this continuous learning, continuous humility that you're going to make a million mistakes. And the objective is how quickly can you actually recognize those mistakes, learn from them, and change? Because this has been kind of an entire decade and a half of just bobbing and weaving, like making mistakes and then just figuring out how to grow from there.
How much did you learn about dry cleaning fast?
Well, I've learned a lot about dry cleaning and operations. I can tell you where not to go in New York City.
That's funny. I love that. Tell me about pitching DVF herself on this and how those first conversations went, because that was who you launched with as a partner. And of course, you know, I wear DVF half the time. It's something that we all love. It's such a recognizable brand woman figure.
Yeah, so you got to go straight to the top. Right after I had this idea, I cold called Diane von Furstenberg.
Amazing.
Someone in her office agreed to meet with me, and I showed up the next day at 5 o'clock and introduced myself as the co-founder of Rent the Runway. This was like 48 hours after having the idea. So in reality, I was co-creating the idea with her. I was like, well, what do you think about this? We're going to take your current season inventory. We're going to rent it out for 10% of the price while it's still in stores. And fundamentally, when she first heard the idea, she didn't like it. She thought, why would I ever do that? That's going to cannibalize my sales. That might dilute my brand to give people the opportunity to rent as opposed to buy. And instead of turning away, I engaged her in a conversation about okay, what about this really scares you? And what are the problems in your business right now? And she kind of introduced me to this problem that all designers were having, which was the problem of how do I acquire customers in a world where younger women aren't frequenting physical stores in the same way that they used to, where there's an endless aisle online, where it's really hard to actually pay for ads on Google. The ads on Google and on Facebook have doubled or tripled. So we then thought, okay, we could actually be a win-win not only to customers, but also to brands in helping them reach this next generation of customers and giving them this experience wearing clothes. And once you have the experience wearing designer clothes, you fall in love with it and you figure out what you want to own.
It's so fascinating to hear the backstory. We only have 20, 30 seconds here, but we always end this segment by asking a woman who did something that I think so many people watching at home could be looking up to, or think gosh, I have an idea, but it sounds really hard, but she did it. What's your kind of your mantra, your one sentence of advice to somebody listening at home who wants to know how you did what you did?
Stay in the game. Person who's playing the game the longest wins.
Oh, God. Ooh, that's good.
Just keep on moving, keep on playing. It doesn't matter who wants to take you out of the game. If you stick around, you're going to be successful.
And here you are, 15 years later.
There we go.
Jennifer Hyman, CEO of Rent the Runway, co-founder of Rent the Runway. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. Wonderful to see you. This was so fantastic. Coming up, a symbol of hope pulled from the rubble. When we come back, we'll take you to Southern California, where a couple who lost their home in a wildfire are finding some comfort after finding a cherished possession. This is Morning News Now. Welcome back. Let's end the hour with a story of one couple that lost almost everything when a wildfire destroyed their home in Southern California. But then in the rubble, they found a cherished possession practically untouched, their wedding album. NBC News' Liz Kreutz has more.
Yeah. Al and Phyllis Norquist have lived right here for 53 years.
We've gone down this driveway many times.
Since 1971, this home is where they grew their family, became empty nesters, grandparents, and then great-grandparents.
We had so many wonderful mementos of our memories.
But all of it gone within minutes when the mountain fire recently ignited.
We were just doing our normal routine in the morning.
Yeah, I was curling my hair.
A neighbor telling them to get out. You could see the flames encroaching.
They were grabbing me and just pushing me into the car. And I said, well, let me get my Volvo out. He says, no. He says, now.
The fire destroying their home, their lifelong belongings, now ashes.
This was our porch and entry,
And so when they returned, they were shocked to discover one thing left untouched amidst the rubble: a single bookshelf containing one of their most important possessions.
This is your album?
Yes.
The flames sparing Alan Phyllis's wedding album, irreplaceable photos from the day they married in 1961.
What do you remember about that day, Al?
That day? Oh, wow. Best day of my life. We were young and in love, and the rest of it just didn't matter to me.
The album, a symbol of the life they started together 63 years ago. And now, in their late 80s, a symbol yet again as they rebuild.
That was our beginning, and now we're experiencing a new beginning.
They say their faith and their love, as it always has,
Love you.
will get them through. Liz Kreutz, NBC News, Camarillo, California.
Just incredible. That's going to do it for this hour of Morning News Now. Don't go anywhere, though. The news continues right now. Good morning. Thanks for starting your Tuesday with us. I'm Savannah Sellers. Joe is on assignment today. Right now on Morning News Now, cabinet woes as President-elect Donald Trump's newly tapped administration comes under intense scrutiny. Mr. Trump now personally appealing to senators on Capitol Hill to confirm Matt Gaetz as Attorney General amid fresh troubling allegations against the former congressman. It comes as a Fox News host and one-time reality TV star is chosen to be America's next transportation secretary. And Trump's controversial plan on immigration comes into stark focus. We are covering it all. New York City in shock this morning after a third person dies from a horrific stabbing spree in Manhattan yesterday. More on the extensive criminal history of the alleged suspect, who's now in police custody, plus the growing concerns this morning over that deadly E. coli outbreak impacting organic carrots sold in grocery stores across the country, how you can stay healthy, and what to look for in your fridge. And we are officially 1 week out from the start of the Thanksgiving travel rush. So what can you expect if you're hitting the roads or runways in the coming days? Well, later the hour, we are sitting down with TSA Chief David Pekoski to talk about a holiday season that could shatter records. We are just a little more than a week away from Thanksgiving. Can you believe it? Thanks again for joining us. We're going to get started this hour with the latest on the Trump transition as the president-elect's cabinet is taking shape amid new questions over his pick for Attorney General, former Congressman Matt Gaetz. This as more members of Trump's inner circle suggest they are open to skirting the usual Senate process, that confirmation process, in order to help get some of those more controversial nominees confirmed. NBC News Now anchor and senior Washington correspondent Hallie Jackson starts us off.
Hey there, good morning to you. The Trump team says Matt Gaetz is the right man to serve as the next Attorney General. And overnight, Trump confidant Elon Musk gave his public stamp of approval, calling Gaetz a hammer of justice, even as we're hearing new details about testimony to investigators involving the sexual misconduct allegations against the man who could lead the Justice Department next year. This morning, new scrutiny for Matt Gaetz, President-elect Trump's embattled pick for Attorney General. Mr. Trump has been reportedly reaching out personally to senators to ask them to back Gaetz's nomination. The now former Florida congressman resigned his seat last week, ending a House Ethics Committee's inquiry into a series of troubling allegations, which Gaetz has long denied, including illicit drug use and sex with a then 17-year-old girl at a Florida party in 2017. Attorney Joel Leppard represents a woman who says she was there. What did your client witness at this party?
She was walking outside to the pool, and she observed to her right her friend, who was 17 at the time, having sex with Representative Gaetz. They were leaned up to what she described to as a game table of some type.
Did your client believe that Gaetz at the time knew that her friend was underage?
She testified that her belief was that Representative Gaetz had no knowledge that she was under 18.
Leppard says his clients, both the alleged witness and another woman, testified to that House committee this spring.
They put up a number of Venmo payments and PayPal payments by Representative Gaetz and asked both of my clients, what were each one of these payments made for. And my clients repeatedly testified, well, that was for sex.
The Justice Department ultimately declined to bring charges against Gaetz, and a Gaetz spokesperson says these are baseless allegations intended to derail the second Trump administration. The House Ethics Committee is set to meet tomorrow, according to a source familiar, to discuss the Gaetz report.
The fact of the matter is, whether we get the ethics report or not, the facts are going to come out.
Also coming under fire, Mr. Trump's pick to run the nation's health agency, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., his own cousin, Caroline Kennedy, the U.S. ambassador to Australia, taking aim at his anti-vaccine positions.
I think Bobby Kennedy's views on vaccines are dangerous, but I don't think that most Americans share them.
We could find out tomorrow whether that report on the House committee investigation will be released. House Speaker Johnson has said he does not think it should be, since Gaetz is no longer a sitting congressman, but also said he's not dictating anything. Back to you.
All right, Hallie, thank you so much. Well, now let's turn to a development in one of President-elect Trump's campaign promises, mass deportations of undocumented immigrants. This promise is already taking shape, as NBC News is reporting the incoming Trump administration is in talks with private prison companies about expanding immigrant detention centers across the nation. Mr. Trump further outlined his deportation plan yesterday by responding true to a Truth Social post, that's his social media platform, saying he will declare a national emergency and use military assets to deport undocumented immigrants. NBC News Homeland Security correspondent Julia Ainsley joins us with more on this. Julia, good morning. So what do we know at this point about the planning underway for these deportations, and do we know which groups would be targeted first?
Well, Savannah, that was one word to say a lot. And the way that tweet from that person from Judicial Watch read just said military assets. So there's still a lot we don't know. In the past, Trump, as well as other administrations, have used some military assets, like the National Guard. Under the first Trump administration, active duty troops were sent to the border to build barriers. The line is drawn, however, and it's drawn pretty clearly by the Constitution, that the U.S. military is not allowed to enforce domestic law. That means they can't put handcuffs on migrants. They can't actually detain them, arrest them, and take them into custody. That is always left to Customs and Border Protection and to the Border Patrol. So in this case, it's unclear what he means by military assets. But if he's talking about invoking a law that he's talked about before, the Stafford Act, it would make him basically say, we are under an alien invasion from a foreign government. That would be hard to argue in court because, of course, most of these migrants are leaving countries that they're trying to flee the government, not representing a government themselves that's invading the United States. So that has been an idea floated in the past. Whether or not he goes that far still remains to be seen.
And Julia, as you point out, we don't have exact details in terms of the military assets that would be involved, what that looks like. But what impact will deploying the military, just generally with what we know, have on the situation?
Well, certainly it will be something that will cause attention. Whether or not it will actually end up arresting more migrants remains to be seen. It's something that is a bit of a muscle flex for the president. It's something he did in the previous administration to show he was serious. It's something other states have done. A lot of Republican governors will send their National Guards from their states, even not border states like South Dakota, what we're seeing from the incoming DHS secretary, something that she offered to Texas to send her National Guard. Something governors have done in the past to show they mean business. Whether or not it actually increases the number of arrests remains to be seen because, of course, if he doesn't cross that line of actually arresting more migrants, that wouldn't increase it. What would is if he taps local law enforcement, something he said he's done, something we've heard from some local sheriffs they're willing to do. If they start arresting migrants, that would increase the manpower of ICE to go out and do more arrests. That would actually have a very large impact on deportation, Savannah.
And Julia, Trump's newly appointed border czar, his name is Tom Homan. He said he will be traveling to Mar-a-Lago this week to work on finalizing this plan. Tell us more about Homan and what we know about plans that we've heard from him.
Well, the border czar is a relatively new position. It's one that was created at the end of the first Trump term. It was held by Ken Cuccinelli. He didn't really stay in that position long enough for us to see what he could do. What we understand about Homan is that while he'll be at the White House, he can tap the Justice Department, Health and Human Services, which oversees unaccompanied children who arrive at the border, the State Department to work with countries who are reluctant to take back migrants, as well as DHS. He'll be in a very powerful position, reporting directly to the president. And so while he's at Mar-a-Lago, he can start to work out some of these details about how they're going to pressure more countries, how much money they're going to ask for from Congress in order to carry out these plans. And yes, whether or not they're going to try to invoke those powers to be able to use the U.S. military to help in this effort. So a lot of these plans are already being ironed out way before they come into office. This is a difference that we've seen in the first term. Remember, one of the first things President Trump did when he took office in 2017 was the transit ban, what a lot of people called the Muslim transit ban because it targeted those countries. That was something that kind of built while they were flying the plane. In this case, the election didn't come as much of a surprise, so a lot of these details are being ironed out way in advance so that they can try to do something very visual, something that could shock a lot of people when they first take office.
All right, Julia, thank you. Let's now turn to the deadly stabbing rampage on the streets of Manhattan. Police now say a third person has died after a man appeared to target people at random. The alleged suspect captured on surveillance video pulling out a knife just moments before the terrifying attack. NBC News correspondent Aaron McLaughlin joins us with the details. Aaron, good morning.
Hey there, Savannah. Good morning. This stabbing spree is shocking. According to police, the suspect had an extensive criminal history and serious mental health issues, leading the mayor of New York to question why he was out on the streets.
Overnight, the man accused in a deadly stabbing spree charged with 3 counts of first-degree murder. Police say this chilling surveillance footage shows the moments before the attacks in the heart of New York City. You see the suspect put on a hoodie and gloves. He then pulls a large knife from his backpack.
These attacks seem to be unprovoked, that he just walked up to them and began to attack them with the knives.
According to police, the suspect, identified as 51-year-old Ramon Rivera, used these kitchen knives to stab 3 people in 3 separate attacks at locations across Manhattan on Monday morning, killing 2 men and a woman who died at the hospital overnight.
This is our suspect for all these stabbings.
This eyewitness says a cab driver alerted police to the suspect, believing he'd witnessed a robbery.
He started yelling, "Stop that guy, stop that guy."
Another bystander says the suspect was calmly walking with a bag or purse.
I told him, drop the bag. There's going to be cops up ahead. Drop the bag, it's not worth it. And of course, he didn't listen, he kept walking, and then the police got him.
I just heard a commotion from where I was, stepped outside, heard what people were saying, and reacted.
Officials say Rivera has severe mental health issues, describing him as a homeless man with a recent arrest record. He has been arrested 8 times in New York City this past year alone and was just released from custody last month.
It is a clear example of the criminal justice system, mental health system that continues to fail New Yorkers.
The NYPD says major crime is down slightly in New York City compared to this time last year. But this latest deadly attack has New Yorkers and visitors on high alert ahead of the holidays.
In addition to his criminal history here in New York, according to records, the suspect had been arrested 3 times in New Jersey in the last year and had rap sheets in at least 2 other states. He has yet to enter a plea on these latest charges. Savannah.
So disturbing. Aaron, thank you. Well, we turn now to the deadly E. coli outbreak impacting 18 states so far across the nation. Organic whole and baby carrots have been recalled after 1 person died and dozens of others were hospitalized. The CDC is investigating the outbreak, warning consumers to check packaging as affected brands are more than likely no longer on store shelves, but may, of course, be in people's homes and your refrigerators. NBC News Chief Environmental Affairs Correspondent Ann Thompson has the latest.
Hey there, Grimway Farms is the largest producer of carrots in the world, but this morning it has a giant-sized problem, an E. coli outbreak linked to some of its organic carrots, now suspected in the death of 1 person and sickening many more.
This morning, those carrots are no longer believed to be on grocery shelves, but they could be in your refrigerator or freezer.
I have a bag of carrots in here. Ooh, who knows how long these carrots have been in here. I'm going to check them.
If you find them, the CDC says throw them out. Grimway Farms is recalling some of its bagged whole and baby organic carrots. The vegetables were sold in some of America's most popular stores, including Trader Joe's, Wegmans, and Whole Foods. Los Angeles County health officials say there's been 1 death of an adult over 65 with medical conditions that's linked to the outbreak. Once produce becomes contaminated with bacteria like E. coli, food safety experts say there's only so much you can do at home.
Unfortunately, washing produce doesn't eliminate the issue. It might reduce the risk a little bit, but that is really the issue that we have with fresh produce is that we can't wash it off.
This follows the E. coli outbreak at McDonald's linked to slivered onions from a third-party supplier on its quarter pounders. The company is now spending $100 million on a recovery plan. The FDA says there does not appear to be a continued food safety concern.
Have y'all seen all of these recalls that's going on in the United States with the food?
Other recent outbreaks, listeria linked to deli meats, including boar's head products that resulted in 10 deaths, and salmonella found in fresh cucumbers, eggs, and fresh basil. Unfortunately, experts say these periodic outbreaks are not unusual.
I wouldn't say that we should be worried about our nation's vegetable supply. I will say that fresh produce always provides us with complications.
The whole organic carrots were sold in stores from August 14th to October 23rd, and they have no best used by dates. But the baby organic carrots have best if used by dates ranging from September 11th to November 12th. Grimway Farms CEO says the company is, quote, conducting a thorough review of its growing, harvest, and processing practices. Back to you.
All right, thank you. New York City is the latest area in the Northeast to declare a drought warning as wildfires continue to break out in the region. All of this is as a record number of people are expected to travel to the area during the upcoming Thanksgiving holiday season. NBC News correspondent Emily Aketa is in Monmouth County, New Jersey. She joins us with the latest. Emily, good morning.
Hey there, Savannah. Well, these bone-dry conditions continue to fuel new wildfires and their shrinking water supplies. The Manasquan Reservoir here is at about just half of its 4 billion-gallon capacity. We've been watching week after week. The water levels continue to recede, which is why I can walk on the sandy bottom right now. It is staggering scenes like this that are multiplying across the Northeast and causing concern amid unprecedented dry conditions.
This morning, a split screen of weather extremes. As the country's midsection is battered by storms, toppling trees and snarling traffic, the Northeast remains desperate for rain. Overnight, crews battling a raging brush fire just south of Boston in Milton, Massachusetts.
This is actually pretty scary to have this size fire here in more of a metropolitan area.
Bone-dry conditions also fueling 2 new fires in Hainesport and Lakewood, New Jersey, and the Fire Department of New York deploying drones to assist with the firefight. The city declaring its first drought warning in more than 2 decades, pointing to staggering before and after pictures of reservoirs in the region. Many cities across the Northeast facing their driest fall seasons on record, including Scranton, Pennsylvania.
We're only like a week and a half away from Thanksgiving, and we're working brush fires right now, which is unusual for this part of the country.
Even under normal circumstances, Thanksgiving is the leading day for home cooking fires, surging on average 240%. Now, with the Northeast a tinderbox, Scranton's fire chief is urging his community to be extra cautious cooking in the kitchen and outdoors this holiday.
Burying your head in the sand and saying it won't happen here, that starts the recipe for disaster. So, just make sure you take those precautions.
As the driest conditions in decades cause concerns ahead of the holiday.
And there are drought warnings in New York City, New Jersey, and parts of the Northeast. Still, officials, though, suggest that they're not ruling out the fact that they could upgrade to a drought emergency, which would mandate water restrictions. They're hoping that the forecasted rain for later this week could help prevent that. But still, keep in mind, this is a region that is in need of inches of rain in order to make up for that deficit, Savannah.
Emily, thank you very much. Well, a powerful storm is also headed for the West Coast this week. For more on how it could impact your area, let's look at your morning news now weather. Angie Lastman's back. Hey, Angie, good morning.
Hi, good morning, Savannah. We've got a couple of storm systems that we're going to watch. Yes, the one that Emily just mentioned that will impact parts of the Northeast and bring some much needed rain. But first up, we've got to take a look at what's going on out west. The Pacific Northwest gearing up for another atmospheric river event. And notice all of these winter alerts that you see. The brighter pink, those are winter storm warnings. We've got some blizzard warnings across parts of Washington. This is going to be something that we deal with for a couple of days now. So I wouldn't be surprised if those winter alerts expand and definitely stay in place for those regions here over the next couple of days. And here's why. We've got this frontal system that's going to work closer to the coast, and look at all that heavy rain that it's going to deliver to that region, specifically Seattle stretching down to Eureka. That's where we'll see some heavy rain. And on top of that, of course, the mountain snow. And we'll, of course, deal with some of those really strong winds, impressive winds here, close to 70 miles per hour in some spots. Looking ahead to your day tomorrow, most of that snow working across parts of the mountainous region. regions there. And the heaviest of the rain is centered across parts of central California and northern California. Eureka, basically to San Francisco, is where we're going to see the heaviest of it. So we will watch for the concern for flash flooding, of course. And then more where that came from as we get into Thursday. We'll continue to see rain soaking parts of California and some additional snow. That means that these are the spots that we're really going to watch for our biggest concern when it comes to that flash flooding risk as we get to the end of the week. Bookings down to Eureka, to Fort Bragg, those are some areas that are in that moderate to even high risk. So we will be concerned, of course, about all of that rain happening at once. When it's all said and done, upwards of a foot of rain in some spots, specifically Northwest California, where we could see 12 inches or so in that same general region that we're concerned for the flash flooding. As far as the snow is concerned, some impressive amounts across parts of the Cascades as well. A foot to 2 feet will be likely, but we'll see some spots that could reach over 2 feet of snow. Of course, great for anyone that is into the recreational snow sports, but difficult for travel nonetheless over the coming days. And I mentioned those wind speeds, 70 miles per hour. That means no surprise if we see down trees, down power lines, even 40, 45 mile per hour winds, 50 and 60 mile per hour winds are likely going to cause some problems across that region. And this is something that we'll watch at least through tomorrow, so heads up if you live in that region. Now, on the other half of the country, we're gearing up for a different kind of storm system that's going to impact us in a couple different ways. We've got from the Great Lakes to the Gulf Coast a storm system that's bringing rain and potentially a little bit of snow here as we get through the next couple of days. But specifically along the Gulf Coast is where we've seen plenty of flood alerts issued so far this morning. Really impressive rainfall rates, over an inch an hour. So that means that the flooding concern will be there through the morning hours and likely into this afternoon. The system's on the move, though, so the southeast gets in on that action here as we get through the later parts of the day, and the mid-Atlantic sees some rain too. By tomorrow, it's not the northeast turn just yet, but instead the Great Lakes region stretching to the mid-Atlantic will get a kind of snowy, wintry mix. We'll have some rain in there. We'll have some snow in there. It'll be wet snow, so it'll be, again, difficult for travel, but the showers and thunderstorms will start to work into parts of the northeast as we get into Thursday. This is when we get delivered a nice batch of some beneficial rain across this region. We'll have some cool air working in, though, so we could see a wintry mix as well. This will be something that we watch through the end of Thursday. Hopefully it offers up some relief from those drought conditions that we've been talking so much about, and we can see some improvements with that.
I would be thrilled by a wintry mix.
Yes, we know you love your snow.
And
don't worry.
It is so great to hear that we're finally getting some rain. Seriously,
yes. I mean,
fantastic.
Emily mentioned we need multiple inches
Right.
of rain, so it's not going to erase the drought completely, but anything at this point will help.
Absolutely. Angie, thank you.
Of course.
We have much more to come this hour of Morning News Now. We're looking ahead to what could very well be a record-breaking holiday travel season kicking off next week. But is the TSA ready for an influx of passengers? We'll chat with TSA Administrator David Pekoski on everything you need to know before you hit the runway. That is next on Morning News Now. We are back now with a look at what to expect for the start of this year's holiday travel rush with just over a week until Thanksgiving. AAA predicts a record number of Americans will hit the roads and head to the airports in the coming days to gather with friends and family. The head of the TSA will join us in just a moment, but first let's go to NBC News senior correspondent Tom Costello. Tom, good morning.
Hey, Savannah, when was the last time you were on a plane that had empty seats, right? They don't exist anymore. In fact, the TSA says their 10 busiest days in history have all been since the spring. Traffic up 5.5% over a year ago. We're talking record numbers again for Thanksgiving, not only in the air, not only at the airports, but also on the roads.
It's already one of the busiest times of the year to travel, but this Thanksgiving is shaping up to be a record breaker. AAA says a whopping 71.1 million Americans will hit the highways. That's 1.3 million more than last year. The good news, relief at the pump. The national average now $3.06 a gallon, according to Gas Buddy. A year ago, it was $3.30. 12 states right now have averages below $2.75 a gallon. What's driving gas prices lower?
Well, a lot of it is merely seasonal. Gasoline demand declining into the cooler weather, but a global slowdown in the economy is also behind lower global demand. That's pushing oil and gas prices down abroad as well.
Another trend this Thanksgiving, Americans are headed to warm weather, with the top 3 domestic destinations all in the Sunshine State. Meanwhile, the nation's airports are preparing for busy runways. In total, the TSA expecting to screen 18.3 million passengers and crew from next Tuesday through Monday, December 2nd. And watch this wild card, winter weather, with much of the continental U.S. facing rain and snow fronts ahead of Thanksgiving week.
Much of the country has a chance for above normal rainfall patterns. This means numerous storms moving across the country.
The TSA says the 3 busiest travel days will be the Tuesday and Wednesday before Thanksgiving and the Sunday after the holiday.
We have seen record-breaking travel really since the lows of the pandemic, and we can expect it to continue. This year, about 5% more capacity is scheduled over Thanksgiving week.
All of it setting up for a busy December in the skies as well.
So if you haven't bought your ticket yet for Christmas, book it now.
Definitely be looking at prices and expect to book in the next 2 weeks or so.
Okay, if you are not tied to your local school schedule for vacations, then guess what? Airfares are going to drop dramatically in January and February. Typically, those are the cheaper months to travel. Again, if you're not tied to the local school schedule. Savannah?
Yeah. All right, Tom, if you haven't bought your ticket yet, that's a yikes. That's what I have to say to that. Thank you very much, Tom. Joining us now with more on the holiday travel rush is the man in charge of those airport security lines, TSA Administrator David Pekoski. David, good morning. Thank you so much for being here.
Good morning. Great to be back.
I understand it's the TSA's birthday. Is that right? Or is a happy birthday in order?
23 years old.
23.
Yep.
Wow, that's pretty awesome. Okay, so let's talk about everything we just heard there, which is just that so many of us are traveling all the time, and certainly when it's a holiday weekend, 18 million people, over 18 million people expected to hit. What are your preparations right now like?
Well, we prepare for this all year long, literally, because the summertime is an extended Thanksgiving, if you will. I mean, it's a very high-paced period, usually the whole month of July into the first 2 weeks in August. We've been working really hard to build up our workforce numbers, and so we have the biggest workforce now that we've ever had.
Wow.
We're fully prepared for this Thanksgiving. As Tom mentioned, it's going to be busy days, Tuesday, Wednesday before, which are always the 2 busy days. But the busiest day, and generally the busiest day of the entire year for us, is the Sunday following Thanksgiving.
Wow.
Yeah.
For passengers who are hearing that, but they're still like, you know what, I do know, though, like even at certain airports across the country, we saw this just this past weekend, citing FAA shortages when it comes to staffing, and then that causes those delays, that trickle down, which then, of course, also cascades into a security line. For customers who are concerned about that, what would you tell them?
Well, I would tell them to bank a little bit of time, because that's what I always do. I bank a little time so that if there are some delays in the system, that I'm not super anxious in trying to make a flight. The other thing is, for pretty much everybody traveling, you'll do everyone a favor if you prepare for the travel, particularly prepare for the screening experience. So, for example, when you're putting together your carry-on bag, just empty out the bag first so you don't have anything left over from a camping trip or from something that didn't relate to air travel, and then fill it back in, because sometimes people bring things unintentionally into the checkpoint, and that slows everybody down. So if we all work together and make this as efficient and speedy as possible, I think everybody will benefit from it.
I think that's something people rely on a lot. I know I do this now to try to get through as quickly as possible are things like TSA PreCheck, clear any number of these services that purportedly get you through quicker. With TSA PreCheck, so many people have it now. I mean, there's also a wait now. It used to feel like it really took you right to the front of the line and it was something you could rely on. Do you feel that it is anymore, that you can really rely on PreCheck getting you through with less time?
Yeah, you could definitely rely on it. We look at that data every single day, actually every hour of every single day at every lane across the country. TSA PreCheck is reliably 10 minutes or less. Rarely does it get above 10 minutes. And PreCheck has other conveniences to it. For example, you don't have to take off light jackets. You can leave your shoes on, leave your belt on. It's just the way to go if you're looking for speed and convenience. PreCheck prices have come down. We now have 3 vendors that offer TSA PreCheck, and generally it's around $78 to enroll, and then to re-enroll about $70. So very economical for a 5-year term. And once you have pre-check, you don't want to go through screening without it. I mean, it's just it's a predictable way and a very convenient way to travel.
Yeah, and even the new digital ID in some airports is very helpful. Yeah. Let's talk about things that people should just keep in the back of their mind they cannot bring through a TSA checkpoint. Remind us some of those things, whether it be, I know even in the last year, I think so far this year, there it is, over 5,000 firearms at checkpoints. Remind people the correct way.
Sure. You cannot bring a firearm through a checkpoint, and you can't bring a firearm into the stairway of an airport or on board an aircraft in the cabin. But you can absolutely travel with a firearm. There's just a procedure to do that. You have to put it in your check bag. You have to declare it with the airline. You have to put it in a locked case and put it in your check bag. So there are procedures to do that. I would just encourage everybody to follow those because, as you mentioned, last year we had 6,737 firearms in TSA checkpoints. That really slows things down, in addition to being dangerous for everybody that's in that checkpoint. So if people would really just double think that and say, hey, if I want to travel, it's got to go on my check bag. There's a procedure to do this. With respect to what you can bring, it's really simple. I mean, you can't bring liquids greater than 3.4 ounces unless it's medically necessary, or breast milk or things of that nature. What you can do is just go on Ask TSA, just text Ask TSA or through any social media application, and you can ask a question like, can I bring, name it, and we'll give an answer back in a text. Wow. So that's really helpful to people. If you got a little bit more time, just go on the TSA webpage, tsa.gov, and there's a section called What Can I Bring? And it just rolls you through what you can bring through the checkpoint and what you can bring in your check baggage.
David Pukoski, thank you very much. Good luck over the next holiday season.
Appreciate it.
Good to see you.
Thank you.
Well, let's turn to the Middle East. At least 5 people were killed in an Israeli airstrike on the Lebanese capital of Beirut yesterday. More than 3,000 people have been killed in Lebanon since Israel launched its military assault against Hezbollah. The bombing campaign is also putting the country's famous archaeological sites at risk. NBC's Danielle Hamamdjian takes a closer look.
In southern Lebanon, whether Muslim or Christian, village after village has been destroyed by Israeli airstrikes and ground operations. Israel's war against Lebanese militia Hezbollah has left more than 3,000 dead and counting. The Israeli military vowing to end the group's rocket attacks on northern Israel. But there are fears the incessant bombing will produce another kind of casualty. Take a look at this image. The burnt-out vehicles are a familiar sight by now, except in the background stands the Baalbek temple complex, one of the best-preserved Roman ruins in the world, at least for now.
My heart is breaking, my soul is aching, and the worst part is that we can't do anything but just write reports and beg countries to listen to us.
Lebanon is packed with World Heritage sites like this one here, north of the capital Beirut, which archaeologists say tells the story of humanity.
We are sitting in a Roman column from the 2nd century and looking at the Bronze Age city from 2,500 years old, and a city wall which is also 3,000 years old. And behind us is the city.
Now, the bombs haven't hit this place here, the ancient port city of Byblos, one of several UNESCO heritage sites that dot this tiny country. But Israeli airstrikes have hit dangerously close to others. This video was taken in the southern city of Tyre by Dr. Nader Siklawi. He was near the Roman ruins he spent his entire career trying to preserve. And as we sit down for an interview in Beirut...
Was that another strike that I just heard? Yes, yeah. So we're about to start it. We've just heard some explosions in the southern suburbs of Beirut.
If we have an enemy looks like Israel, what we can do with him? What we can do?
The IDF says it only targets Hezbollah, but that the group embeds itself in civilian areas, including heritage sites.
And the site, it's opening. There is no building.
There's no Hezbollah presence.
I'm sure. I'm sure.
Archaeologists aren't just worried about direct hits on the monuments. They say blast vibrations could also cause irreparable damage, as could the use of white phosphorus munitions, which the IDF denies using.
It's like a sacred place for me.
Tanya Zavan believes ancient monuments are increasingly becoming casualties of war.
pointing to Afghanistan in 2001 when the Taliban destroyed the Bamiyan Buddhas. And then to Syria and Iraq, where Islamic State militants ravaged ancient sites and statues. Both Christians and Muslims here treasure their shared history.
It's not only our history, it's the world history. We are only the keepers of this legacy. We are the keepers of the story of humanity.
Danielle Hamamjian, NBC News, Byblos in Lebanon.
Coming up, there's a new digital push this morning to help keep young gamers safe online. After the break, how Roblox is giving parents more control over their kids' time on the platform amid a boom in popularity. That's up next. Stay with us. Welcome back. Roblox is giving parents more control over what their kids are allowed to do on the popular digital gaming platform. Parents will be able to remotely access and monitor their child's account and set spending and daily screen time limits. The move comes as digital platforms ramp up protections for young users. For more on this, let's bring in Beatrice Moyes. She is a board-certified cognitive specialist and parenting coach and author of the book Neurodiversity and Technology. Good morning. Thank you so much for joining us. So Roblox, just for people who don't know, it's not just one game, but it's a platform where games are constantly available. They're constantly changing. You can even, in some ways, kind of build games and stuff like this on this platform. So I know it can definitely be confusing for parents or for someone who's not a native user of the platform. But what do you make of these new controls as someone who understands it? Do they go far enough?
They don't go far enough, but they go far. And I'm very, very happy and excited that, you know, these platforms are deciding to think about children's safety. And because, yes, it is a child game, but it's not only children playing it. So, yes, this is definitely a first step into the right direction. So I think it's a great thing and I think it's wonderful.
What are some ways that parents can help kids set boundaries playing games online and encourage them to be transparent, right, or ask for help if they run into problems or are being bullied? Because the thing that I think is of major concern for parents who are familiar with these platforms is somebody that you don't know can get in contact with you in some ways on these platforms. Like you're communicating with people. You're not just playing a game on your own. Sometimes you're playing with other people. You don't know who they are, where they are on these platforms. What are some boundaries parents can set?
Well, I think one of the first things that parents need to understand is preventative measures are far easier to maintain than when you're trying to do it on the back end. So the preventative measures are the conversation and communication and setting the boundaries before. Because when children are, you know, aware of what the boundaries are and what they look like, it's easier for them to adhere to them than for us to try to instate boundaries after they've already been crossed. So definitely, you know, making sure that the parental controls are tailored to the child's needs and maturity level. You know, not every kid is different and every maturity level is different, even based on age. So tailoring what is necessary for the child, making sure that kids understand that personal information should not be shared by anyone with anyone online. So having those conversations, early interventions, you know, making sure that you sit together with your child before handing them the access to these tools and let them know, here are the rules and here are the things that you need to avoid. And if you get into danger, here's what you can do about it. So preventative is basically the first boundary.
So that is great advice. Let's say, unfortunately, it gets a little farther than that. What signs should parents look for in their kid that could indicate they're having an issue online?
Usually children become a little bit more withdrawn, you know, than they typically would be. So, and, you know, kids don't always want to say or fess up to whatever it is that they're doing because they feel bad about it and they really don't know how to navigate, which is typically why they get deeper into trouble. So, you know, look for behavioral sign. If your child is acting differently, behaving differently, if they're a little bit, you know, to themselves more than they've been, but always double check whatever it is that they're doing. You know, like the phone doesn't belong to them, it belongs to you. So always kind of do like a
lay down the law.
Perimeter check to make sure that, you know, hey, let me see your communication log. Let me just see what's going on. Again, it's a partnership up until the child is able to handle life on their own.
Beatrice Moyes, great advice. Thank you. Always good to see you. Coming up, a shocking break-in on a royal estate. The new security concerns raised in the wake of a burglary at Windsor Castle last month. Stay with us. Welcome back. Frightening details of a burglary at Windsor Castle are now coming to light. This is the second major security breach at Windsor in recent years. NBC International correspondent Kelly Kobea joins us now with more details.
All of the royal palaces and castles, including Windsor, are protected by fences, walls, security gates. Yet somehow 2 people managed to get past those defenses and come within a short drive of William and Kate's family home.
This morning, new questions about the security of the royal family after a burglary on the sprawling Windsor estate where Prince William and Kate live with their 3 children. King Charles and Queen Camilla, who often stay at Windsor Castle, were not there at the time, and it's unclear whether William, Kate, and their 3 children were home at Adelaide Cottage, just a few miles away from Shaw Farm, where the burglary took place. Police say it happened on October 13th, a Sunday night at 11:45. They say 2 offenders entered the farm building, stealing a black pickup and a red quad bike. The closest entrance to the Windsor estate, a gate often used by the royal family, and just 5 minutes drive from William and Kate's home.
It's a little concerning. They should have the best security in the world.
It's not the first time the royal family has dealt with a break-in. 3 years ago, on Christmas Day 2021, a masked man broke into Windsor Castle armed with a crossbow, telling officers, "I'm here to kill the Queen." The 23-year-old was arrested before he got close to the late monarch. He was later jailed for 9 years. Decades earlier, in 1982, an intruder got shockingly close to Queen Elizabeth, breaking into Buckingham Palace, reaching the Queen's bedroom and waking her up, as dramatized in The Crown on Netflix.
My name is Michael.
Out, get out!
I promise you have nothing to fear from me.
Hello? What do you want, if it's money?
I don't want money. I don't want anything. I just want to talk to you. That's all.
William and Kate moved from Kensington Palace in London to Windsor in 2022 to be closer to Queen Elizabeth and to have more privacy as they raise their young family. It's also where Princess Kate has spent much of her time recovering from an undisclosed type of cancer.
I think questions should rightly be asked now about the security of Windsor Estate. It does raise questions about how easy it is for people to get through the perimeter gate.
It seems likely that William and Kate would have been home that night with their 3 children. It was the night before a school day. The kids likely would have been tucked away in bed, but it doesn't appear as though they were in any danger. They're actually protected by several layers of security. We've asked both Kensington Palace and Buckingham Palace about this incident. They haven't commented. It's their policy not to comment on security issues. As for this robbery, the 2 suspects still have not been arrested.
We are once again heading down the yellow brick road for a special sit-down with the star-studded cast of Wicked before it hits theaters this weekend. Our Jacob Soboroff heads back to the Land of Oz up next. Finally this hour, the countdown is on to one of the most highly anticipated movies of the year. The film version of the beloved Broadway musical Wicked is heading from stage to the big screen. NBC News correspondent Jacob Soboroff stepped into the Land of Oz with the star-studded cast ahead of this weekend's opening.
My name is Elizabeth Drought.
I've done a lot of interviews in a lot of places all over the world, but I've never done one, in the Land of Oz.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.